Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jesus Walks 206, and I'm going to address things in this particular short that are dealing with the nature of miracles and the existence of God and the answers that are given and the question that is asked. And so I'm going to play the video and then I'm going to explain what I believe to be something that is a more complete answer and a better refutation of the asserted claims of the questioner. And I'm not doing this simply because I think that I am a better apologist or that Cliff is in some way wrong in any fundamental way. I'm not trying to criticize him in any capacity. I believe that he's answering the question to the best of his ability according to his knowledge, which is totally fine, and he's doing it under duress because the questioner is directly hostile to the very fact that miracles can happen, and we'll get into it.
With reality, it's scary.
You idiot.
Pardon? No, it's okay. Think, man. Is there a supernatural God or not? Now, what do you think?
No,
Okay, why do you think there's no God?
because miracles are nonsense. Like, you can't move water for 600,000 people to go through. Or bread is not gonna magically rain from the sky. What causes that? How does your God create miracles?
You bet. If you and I are standing underneath an apple tree, if an apple disengages from the branch, where does the apple go 100 times out of 100? To the ground. Thank you, sir. If when an apple disengages from the branch, a hand reaches out, my hand or your hand, and we catch the apple, then it's not going to hit the ground, is it? You've introduced a hand.
Okay.
Therefore, if you allow for a supernatural God to intervene, and if this supernatural God reaches out, he can change a natural law that he created in the first place, we call that a miracle. With reality.
Alright, so again, I have the luxury of Monday morning quarterbacking and analyzing a video through the use of various tools and then giving a more complete answer. And it goes like this. So we have the questioner saying that belief in miracles is stupid because God doesn't exist, and because things like bread from heaven or the Red Sea parting are impossible, that you simply can't believe in them. But the objection assumes the very thing they're trying to prove, that God doesn't exist. And then it uses that assumption to dismiss anything God could do. That's circular reasoning. So if you start from the position where God obviously doesn't exist, then any action that he might have taken also doesn't exist. So you can't argue against any miracle in particular. You've argued against the very source of miracles. So whether or not they're impossible is irrelevant. You assumed God isn't there, doesn't exist. 1. If God exists, miracles are not only possible, they're expected. If a creator exists who brought the universe into being, sustains it, and governs it, then parting water, providing food, healing bodies, raising the dead are not impossible. They are simply acts of a higher cause. Denying miracles because God doesn't exist is not an argument, it's a presupposition. 2. Cliff's definition is incorrect. Miracles are not God changing natural laws. Cliff said, "A miracle is God changing the natural laws." That's not accurate. It is, however, a miracle is not God breaking or changing the natural laws. It is God introducing a cause that only he can introduce, and the natural world responds exactly as its laws require. No natural law needs to break, they don't need to change, and it's not like a glitch in the matrix. They're responding to a new input that comes from God. Number 3. Science cannot rule out miracles because science studies natural causes, not supernatural ones. Science can tell you what happened, what changed, what physical processes were involved, but science cannot tell you who caused it, or whether the cause was natural or supernatural, whether God acted. Why? Because science studies natural causes only. So when someone says miracles violate science, this is a category error. You're using a study of natural effect to explain why the supernatural causes don't exist. And that doesn't make any sense. So 4. You can't cause bread to fall from heaven or move an ocean. Correct. But that's the point. You can't, I can't, nature can't. But the objection assumes if humans can't do it, God can't either. That's not logic, that's anthropomorphism. If God exists, then he can introduce causes nature cannot produce. Creation will respond to those causes according to its own laws. The result will look extraordinary to us, but not contradictory to him. So the skeptic's argument collapses into miracles can't happen because I don't believe in God. That's not an argument. That's a confession of bias. Number 5. 2 modern medically documented miracles with strong evidence. These are not rumors. These are heavily documented, medically reviewed cases with extensive records and independent verification. Miracle number 1. Dafne Gutierrez in Phoenix, USA. Condition: completely blind from intracranial hypertension and optic nerve atrophy. Verification: medical committee plus imaging plus ophthalmology exams. Outcome: instant complete restoration to 20/20 vision after prayer. Evidence: multiple physicians confirmed there is no medical explanation for the reversal of optic nerve damage. This is not a placebo. This is not psychosomatic. This is an anatomical restoration. 2. The second miracle. Jacob Sebest in Italy. Condition: 5-year-old boy drowned, suffered irreversible brain trauma. Verification: ICU records, neurological imaging, and a 1,204-page medical dossier documenting the case. Outcome: complete recovery with no neurological deficits. Evidence: Vatican medical experts and secular physicians reviewed the case and found no natural explanation. This is not he got lucky. This is a child with documented brain death criteria who fully recovered. So, the full answer to the question and the correction to the answer, because I have the luxury of doing research after the fact. So this is not, again, I'm going to say this one more time. I'm not trying to discredit Cliff in any capacity again. I just have the luxury of doing research after the fact. Okay, so here's the answer. A miracle is not God breaking natural laws. It's God introducing a cause that only he can introduce, and the natural world responds exactly as its laws require. Science can describe the natural effect, but it cannot speak to the supernatural cause, so saying miracles violate science is a category error. And modern medically verified cases, like the instantaneous healing of total blindness in Phoenix and the documented recovery of a drowned child with irreversible brain trauma, show that miracles are not only possible, but are happening today. So, the simple question is, if somebody asks Jesus to do something specific, and that thing happens to the letter, would it make sense if you then turn to a scientific explanation dismissing the fact that a verbatim request was fulfilled to the letter by the person you asked? So, we have 2 clear miracles. These are 2 out of, I don't know, an uncountable multitude of miracles. And if you're only going to start from the position that God doesn't exist and believing in miracles is stupid, then there is no evidence that you are going to accept that miracles can even happen in the first place. But if you examine the science in the situation where they fully admit there is no way for us to explain why this took place, but it stands before you as having happened, then you have to, no matter how impossible the answer seems, if you've ruled out all the natural explanations, you have to examine that and say, well, if all natural is out of the question, what could have caused that? It must be something supernatural. And if you have a verbatim request in the name of the Lord Jesus, and that thing happens specifically, and it has been verified by medical science, then you can say without doubt that God acted in the name of the Lord Jesus to change the natural state of things according to his will, for the benefit of those whom were prayed for, to glorify his name on earth.